So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the 2021 Edelman Trust Barometer and why it's important for CSR professionals. We also look at the opportunities that some of the results provide. Let's make a social impact. Hi everyone, I'm Carl. Welcome to the Social Impact Show, where CSR professionals get the latest strategies and tips to help develop and grow their CSR and goodness programs. Now remember, this is your first time on this channel and you want to get the latest strategies from the experts, hit the subscription button below, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. So today I'm joined by Margaret Bjork, Director of Goodness Solutions with Benevity, and we're going to talk about that Edelman Trust Barometer, because there was one part of that was really interesting. But before I guess we begin, how long has this Edelman Trust Barometer report have been running, and why is it important for CSR professionals?
Gosh, that's a great question. I would have to find out the date of when it really started, but Edelman is the OG of this world, and they've been doing it a really long time, and really before purpose and kind of became main stage. This is work that they've been doing for a long time and have been, just absolutely the trusted resource. And now I think it's really having a moment that the rest of the, it's not just CSR departments, it's brand, it's marketing, it's finance with ESG. All of this is really, I think we could probably give credit to Edelman of being very effective of expanding this understanding that this is not one department's job. This is how good companies and good organizations run.
So the one thing that made this interesting to me this year was that in this report, it showed that brands or companies were rated highest in terms of ethics and competence over other entities like media, government, or NGOs, right? So NGOs, we'll put up a graph here where it's NGOs are deemed ethical, but they're not competent. And then media and then government, they rank really low. And, the political environment probably, over the last several years and growing has probably helped contribute to those perceptions as well. So, but it's interesting that the brands or the companies are going to be the ones that people perceive are leading the way. And one thing I found in the report too is that who do you trust most for information? I found that my employer rated the highest out of everybody else, which I found very, very, very telling, especially in 2021.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I think when we think about our employer being the most trusted, we probably need to thank a lot of people who've done a lot of work over the years to really highlight the power and the value of good leadership. A lot of the, promotions and the people that are getting these important seats, are starting to understand more and more that this stakeholder mentality, and I think they're just getting much better at telling that story as well. I think where companies really are doing a good job, and particularly with 2021, is that employees and companies, I think, really desperately need each other right now. Employers asked us all to go home and work from home, and we did it. And, we needed our employers to keep us employed during a really scary time. And so I think we both kind of understood that we both had some power in that relationship. And that, I think, is really helpful. That's obviously not the case everywhere, and probably very different depending what kind of job that you have. But I think that we trust that our employers are going to keep us safe because they have to. If they don't keep us safe, we can't come to work, and we're not going to work there anymore. Especially kind of pre-COVID. The economy was so good that you really could make a switch in your job that quickly. I would argue that's not the case anymore, but they desperately need us to stay right now too. So I think that power is a nice shared power.
It's interesting in terms of being in the world of CSR and CSR professionals. What are some things that that this perception of the brands being that ethical and competent group, how would you position, as a CSR professional, how would you position your organization to take advantage of that?
Well, I would say that you kind of like, it needs to be real. It needs to be real. It needs to be authentic. I think the CEO Roundtable has just done an excellent job of, again, we talked about it in one of the other video recording of kind of like having your influencers, having people that you listen to. I mean, you look at who's on that CEO Roundtable and you're like, holy smokes, these are the companies I know. These are the CEOs I know. Oh my gosh, there's Corey Berry. I have so much respect for her. Oh my gosh, there's Rockwell Automation. Again, we can kind of see ourselves, I don't really see myself as a CEO, but maybe one day. But I think we can see that these are companies that we like and we respect, and they are all saying, hey, our stakeholders matter. And by stakeholders, I mean our employees, our communities, our customers, as well as our stockholders. And so I think that is, and now they're really starting to come out, in addition with Larry Fink, who kind of comes from this macro level. But I think the CEO Roundtable is really coming with some tangible advice on what good looks like. And I think their companies are doing it really well. These are companies that are promoting more people. They have diverse ERGs. Many of them are being accountable that they need to do more and that they haven't made success in some places. They're being transparent with their sustainability. They have employee giving and volunteering programs. They're celebrating, awareness days and inviting employees to express who they are and be their best self. And so those are the things that I think we see and think that makes a good company.
I remember I read an article where Tim Cook from Apple was saying how executive compensation or bonuses were not necessarily just tied to performance of the company, but relating to ESG goals as well. So that was really interesting to see, some of the things that we care about, that CSRs care about. We're starting to see, that permeate not just into, run campaigns or so on, but it's tied into the actual structure of the company too.
I think that's right, Carl, because I think that is really a kind of a professionalism of this. I think oftentimes people have thought in the past about CSR and purpose and goodness of like, oh, it's nice to have, it's good intentions. That department takes care of it. But I think what we're really seeing is that it needs to be embedded in all areas of the business. Mm-hmm. And so I think really, great on Tim Cook for using their platform to say like, you know what? I think people would argue Apple is a really good company, but they could be better. I think we all could be better in raising equity for all. And so, they're kind of they're using the levers that they've used in the past to see other behavior to say, you know what, this is just as important as, these other corporate goals, these other OKRs, and we're going to start to tie executive compensation to it. So I think it's really a professionalism, kind of putting those professional goals around something that, is very important to people.
Now, going back to that report, and I think over the past several years, there's been a decline in trust with several different organizations and with an increase in trust with I guess businesses too. That's sort of what I've seen. But I think to me, it's also a great opportunity if your organization is authentically doing some good things, that it's a great way to really showcase your values and your perspectives, right? Like it's not enough to be like, here's our mission statement, here's our values, but like if you're actually living and breathing that, if your organization does that, I think it's a great way to promote, right? Because then that ties into, it's like, hey, I trust brands, I trust this company to do some really good things. And now it's a great way to tie that in and really show that, you're doing that kind of stuff.
I agree. For me, I think the tipping point on this was after Hurricane Harvey. And Walmart came out and said, if you make a donation at when you check out, we'll match it and we'll send it to the Red Cross. And again, at this time I had worked with nonprofits for 15 years, really, very familiar with donation buttons on nonprofits' website. But I was like, yeah, you know what? That would be even easier if I could just go where I'm already going, make $20, give $20, and P.S. it's not just $20; it's matched. I mean, if you've heard my other segments, I love a match. I can't resist it, but it is incredibly effective. And then I think back to this trust thing is that I know if I'm giving money to the Red Cross after Hurricane Harvey, my intention is that money should be spent in the Houston area for those victims. That's what I think is going to happen. I also know it's $20. I'm not going to go make a restricted gift to American Red Cross. I'm not going to bother them. They got to go do their work. But I actually have a little bit more confidence that Walmart, if I gave that money, that Walmart knows that I want that money spent in the Texas area or on another hurricane, whether it was Maria in Puerto Rico. I mean, this is kind of the intent of this gift. And I trust that Walmart has the relationship and the power, again, to say no, this is what we want that money to go to. And so I think that's a little bit too of what we understand now. I think we understand how power works. What was it? A House of Cards and Scandal were the eye-opening to regular people of oh my gosh, this is how it all works, which I hope is not 100% true. But I think we do know that companies like Walmart have a lot of influence. And I think they're a great example of a company who is using their influence to drive serious change. And they're doing that. And they've done an excellent job of that. I really think it was since Katrina was their kind of turning point, and how much their brand has been elevated, and how much they're really leading the discussion around ESG, around workforce development, and the benefits they're getting from that.
Do you have anything else to add in terms of a really quick discussion here on the Edelman report and opportunities for CSR professionals?
I just think it's a great time to go and get cross-functional. I think a lot of times, again, as CSR professionals, we think about impact. We've thought about impact for 20 years. We think about UN sustainability goals. But this concept of ESG and this concept of what Larry Fink is doing and pushing out and Edelman is honestly new information to many, many key business people. I would go have a conversation with your CFO and say, I think I could really help you with these ESG scores, which is something that's the lens that they're going to look through. And then I would say, go talk to your brand people, and let's not compete, and let's not find out later that we have a consumer facing donation drive that's not connected to an employee one. So I think it's a great opportunity I think purpose and CSR is the new black. It is your moment. Go to those meetings and be brave and say, we want a seat at the table and we can help you achieve the goals that you want, because we're the experts at it. You've been doing this for a long time.
So if you want to learn more about scaling, growing, or developing your CSR programs, you got to check out this playlist here as we provide more tips and strategies. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in our next episode.